Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Uncle Marv podcast. I am your host, Marvin B. And today's episode, folks, I have with me the man that I have dubbed Mr. Satellite Beach, Nino, Frederico, and he dressed up for the occasion. Nino, how are you doing, my friend?
Uncle Marv, great to see you. I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm doing pretty good. So it's hot today. Is it hot up by you?
Yes, it is. It is quite warm. I'm outside, as a matter of fact, and it is warm, but that's okay. We're used to it. We've been here for 40-some years dealing with this weather, and it's the same every year.
Yeah.
Except for maybe a hurricane or two. And it's hot. That's what Florida is.
It sure is. I have my other podcast, and I talk to people who are, up north, and it's, they're dealing with snow still, and I'm like, how can that be? I mean, the last snow I remember was 1976.
Well, we've had a couple of flurries, I guess, here, but
yeah.
No, we don't snow here. You want to snow, you go up north.
Right.
We don't have that.
All right. So, as you know, this show is unscripted, so I don't have any list of questions. So it's going to be a back and forth. If you have questions, you stop and ask me at any time. I do want to make a couple of quick announcements.
Okay, go ahead.
Because of you asking the question about can I go online and see who the future guests might be,
right?
I went ahead and did some changes to the Uncle Marv website. So
excellent.
If you go to unclemarv.com, and for people that are watching right now and for people that will be listening later, if you go to unclemarv.com, there's a new tab that says Future Podcast. And on there will be the guests that are on there. Actually, you know what? I will pull it up because I can share screens here. So let's go to unclemarv.com now, and I will share the screen. So for those of you watching, and let's go here. So, and it's blinking.
Well done.
So there it is. And I've got future shows as a tab there.
Oh, good.
And as you can see, there you are, sir, at the top as a future shows. So that will go away this Saturday.
I'm wearing the same thing, but I don't look the same.
That's true. So this Saturday, we've got Lenny DeBrew and Mary will be coming on the show.
Very good.
And then next Tuesday, the gentleman that was supposed to be on Saturday, the real OC, Todd Shoemaker, my friend from college, Palm Beach Atlantic. So
good.
That's there. So I did that update to the website just because you asked, and also went ahead and updated my social media because I was late to the social media game. So Facebook was my first foray.
Right.
I created a YouTube channel. So for people that aren't on Facebook and want to watch by YouTube, this is also live streaming on YouTube right now.
Oh, very good.
And the YouTube site is just Uncle Marv. I am Uncle Marv. And then I have a Twitter handle at I am Uncle Marv. So that is there.
Wow.
And I created that one about a year ago, and I used it as a hideaway. I would have you ever heard of the show Live PD?
No.
So basically it's cops on steroids.
Oh.
And every Friday and Saturday night, the A&E channel basically has cameras following departments live in real time. And they've been in Pasco County, Florida. They've been in Tallahassee. They're in Clay County right now.
Right.
They've also been in Louisiana, North and South Carolina, Texas. I mean, they're all over the place. So the show is, a lot of times shows are boring. But Live PD with Twitter is awesome. So that's how I got into Twitter. I wouldn't tell anybody that I was on Twitter, but for this, now you can find me on Twitter. I am Uncle Marv.
Good. Very good.
I'm going to go back and delete a whole bunch of old posts because some of them aren't PG.
I think there you, I think I'm on Twitter, but I don't ever post anything. I don't think I have a handle either. I just look
You have
at
to have
stuff that's
something to
on.
be on Twitter. Oh, you just
Well,
look on it?
Yeah, I just look at it. Yeah, that's it.
I think they call that trolls. Is that?
Probably, except that I don't say anything. So
Oh, then you're not a troll. You're
I
just
don't mess with people. I just
you're
look.
you're a voyeur.
Yeah, yeah. I get, yeah, okay.
All right. So why don't we just let me start by asking, because you're one of the people that I mean, our lives have been intertwined for so
Yes.
long, all through school, playing sports
right.
together. Football, basketball, track.
That's right.
I tried to play softball one summer and I forgot what happened. I think I had to. I had to run the AAU track.
Oh, okay.
I couldn't do both.
You had a conflict.
Yeah, and but then of course we all went off to school and college, and we would see each other at reunions and
Yep.
passing by and stuff. So let me ask, something I would do at reunion. How's it going? What have you been doing? How's life?
Well, life is actually pretty good.
All right.
I live here in Orlando. Lived here since I've actually lived here in Orlando since I graduated from Satellite.
Mm.
I moved over here in September after we graduated to go to UCF, and I haven't left. I really like it here. I know a lot of people here. Now I work for UCF, so that's a nice bonus. And my house is just up the road, a couple of miles from the campus. I'm married. I got three daughters who are all doing really well. And so, yeah, life can't be, I don't know that it could be much better. I guess I could make more money. That might make it a little bit better. But other than that, I mean, we're pretty happy. We have a lot of fun. I'm not sure what else there is to life. You just have a lot of fun with your family.
Yep.
And you're around your friends. I see a lot of people from here and there. So
that's true. That's
life
pretty much
good.
it. That's what I finally got myself, resigned to the fact of, stop trying to do everything and be everything and just figure out what it is you want to do to have fun and enjoy.
That's right.
So I did that. I found somebody who would put up with me, and I married her.
Yeah. Yeah, I know that feeling.
and I can't ask for anything more. She does put up with a lot, and keeps me in line, and
good for her.
So I started late.
You.
What good for me? Yes.
Yeah.
I started late, so no kids.
All right.
And I do have a stepson who got married last year.
Oh, good for you. Good.
Got a bunch of nieces and nephews, and now I'm doing all the real uncle stuff.
There you go. How long you been married?
This will be year 17.
Oh, well, that's not that late. I've only been married 18, 19 years.
Yeah, but she's older, so I ran into a little bit of a stumbling block when it came time for the kids. So
well, that's all right.
So we tried to do the corporate stuff, and she actually was gone for a couple of years. First of all, it took me 6 years to get her to move from Ohio to Florida.
Oh, geez.
I made one
long
offer.
Distance relationship. Huh?
Yeah, I made one offer to move to Ohio.
Yeah.
And she said, "I don't think you'll make it in Ohio." I said, "Good, you're coming to Florida."
I'm sure she was all broken up about having to do that too.
Well, I mean, outside of the fact that, so funny thing is, her entire life up until she left, she had lived within a 4-mile radius from where she was born and where she went to school. And she was married before. And so she had all been within a 4-mile radius. But she loves the sun. She loved Florida. I met her when she was down here on a vacation.
Right.
And so I at first I thought that was an excuse for her to get to Florida. It was just, treat it like a, Florida visa. She'd come down, be married for a year or two, and then dump me.
Yeah. No, I get to stay here.
Yeah. But no, she came down, and then 4 years later, she had an opportunity to take a job and start a franchise in Atlanta. So
Okay.
she was up there a couple of years, and I got tired of that. So
Yeah.
as soon as the opportunity came for her to come back, when she
Yeah.
asked, I said, "Yeah, you're coming back."
There you go.
So
There you go.
that's it. So all right, so we've got people. Oh, we've already got people in the chat popping in. Kelly Moysand.
Where do you
Let me
see?
get
Where
that.
would you see that?
That's on the right. There's a chat.
Do I have to click
Depends.
on something?
It should have popped up. I can pop them in here though. But here's Kelly. Hey guys, Dan and I are watching.
Oh, here we go.
So
I had it on private chat, and I just clicked it on live comments.
You put it on all, yeah. And then there's Mary. Mary, you'll be on Saturday. We'll be looking for you. And Wendy and Snyder.
Yeah, I saw you guys. I watched you and Chris. That was cool. And listened to the whole thing.
All right.
It was very nice.
So I do need to ask you, UCF, my good buddy, the first guest, MacGyver, went to UCF. I know it's a big campus, so I'm not gonna, but I am gonna ask. Any chance you guys may have run into each other?
Well, I never ran into anybody named MacGyver, so I don't.
He would have gone by Jim.
I knew quite a few Jims, but you have to narrow it down a little bit.
I don't know much about what. I know he was there. I know he graduated. I have no idea what he did.
Well, if he graduated during the same time as around the time I was there, likely
he's our year, yeah.
Okay, so likely I ran into him at one point because I used to, when I worked there, when I went to school there, I used to make the student IDs.
Okay.
So anybody who needed a new ID or needed whether they lost theirs or it was their first year, I probably made it.
All right. Well, I'll ask him about it. He'll be on again in a couple of weeks, so I'll bring that up. And
I made those. I did that for a couple of years while I went to school there. So it was interesting. You get to see a lot of people and run into people, and it was an interesting job.
Yeah,
made some money.
That's it. Yeah, working during school, I did every job I could find going through college and grad school. I mean, delivering pizzas, admissions counselor, and cafeteria worker. I did a whole bunch of stuff.
You got to get beer money somehow.
Yeah, I couldn't get beer money because my school was private. We weren't allowed to drink on campus. So,
well, I'm not sure we were allowed to either. But
well, I shouldn't have said it that way. We weren't allowed to drink on or off campus either.
Well, I was lucky enough not to have to deal with that.
Yeah, I got in trouble for the strangest things up there. Strangest things. So, all right. So now going back, and my research department was digging, through stuff to give me, some stuff. So somewhere on your resume, there's a listing that you did work in IT.
I don't think I ever worked in IT, but I did get a computer science minor.
Okay.
Which, now that I think about it, it wasn't that big a deal. You take a couple of classes, one of them to teach you how to use Excel and Word and stuff like that. Actually, it wasn't Excel and Word. It was Word Perfect and Lotus back then.
Word Perfect 4.2?
Boy, something like that. Yeah. and then I took a couple of programming class, a COBOL class. And there was like three, 4 classes, and that was it. And you get a minor with your business major. You get a minor in computer science. I was like, okay, I'll do that. So then after I graduated, my first real job. I don't even know if you call it a real job. I was working at Lockheed Martin. It was Martin Marietta at the time, and I was just in a machine shop, and I would just print out, make up and print out these work instructions for the machinists to use when they were building parts. So I want to call that an IT job. I wrote a couple of silly programs to make things a little bit faster, but I don't know that I would call it an IT job, so to speak. But I worked on a computer. How's that?
That works for me. I don't even have a computer degree, and look at me.
There you go.
All right. Now,
I certainly didn't get a degree for what I actually do now. So
I don't think any of us did.
right.
Because, God, what was my degree? My degree was, well, I guess I'm using mine. Mine was a business administration,
Yep.
and I had a minor in math
There you go.
and a minor in biblical studies.
Okay.
So that was it. And then,
You don't work in church, so
yeah. And yeah, so now I run my own IT company, and that,
there you go.
did nothing with IT then.
Oh, see, we kind of move around.
Yeah.
Sometimes you get out of school, you don't really even know what the heck you're going to do.
Yeah.
And I sure as heck didn't think that I'd be doing what I'm doing, because I didn't even know what the heck it was. So,
You mean the compliance officer title?
yes, yeah, I didn't even know what that meant when I first got into this field. So it was actually kind of funny. I tell people my story all the time. I'll tell you, I was working for the Boeing company in Cape Canaveral near the Space Center.
Uh-huh.
And I was doing schedules. So I'm working, doing scheduling. And while I'm working there, there's a person who was the office manager, basically, a business manager in the facility. There's about 50 or so people working in there. So she decides she's going to retire. And I was like, I'm a business major. Maybe I should go do that, and get out of the scheduling thing. So I did. And I applied for the job, and they were anxious to have somebody who already worked there, take that position. So they gave it to me. Otherwise, they probably wouldn't have, but I don't know.
Right.
Anyway, so they gave me this position. Well, I didn't know this, but that position was also the person who was the focal in the facility for export control. And I had taken a couple of export control training classes. I didn't really know all that much. So I was like, well, yeah, whatever, I don't care. I'm still going to take this job. And so I next thing you know, I'm the export control guy, and I'm learning all this stuff about what you can and can't give to foreign people as far as technical information. And I was like, what the heck is all this? And that's what evolved. Eventually I ended up moving, that program shut down, and I went to on the center and worked in export controls for the next 10 years. And now that's what I do for UCF. But I always tell people that I just kind of stepped into this job like you step in something that you're walking through your yard.
Right.
Somebody's dog left for you. And so once you get in this position, it's tough to get it off. So it's very similar to when you step in what I was describing. I'm trying to keep this rated G for you. But you step in this stuff and it's tough to get off your shoe. So here it is 20 years later, and I still haven't gotten it off me.
Right.
And I think, and I'm not trying to get it off me anymore. As a matter of fact,
Yeah, it fits. You're used to it. It's comfortable now.
Right. It doesn't smell anything anymore. So what the heck? I'll stay with it.
Right.
But so yeah, you just kind of fall into jobs. You don't necessarily know maybe what you're going to do when you graduate. You're just going to hope to find something and see where it leads you. And that's where this has kind of led me. So again, I didn't study it in college. You really can't. But what the heck? I'm making some money. I work for my university. I have some passion with my job. It's fun. What the heck? So,
yeah. Well, can't really ask more than that. So,
yeah. Again, I could ask for more money. They wouldn't give it to me, but I could sure as heck ask.
But you don't know if you don't ask, right?
That's right.
That's pretty much it. Yeah, that's kind of how I fell into my gig here. I mean, I was doing this stuff on the side, and I actually got to the point where I was grabbing used computers and rebuilding them and selling them to the local computer store. And the owner kept bugging me saying, when are you going to come work for me? You build stuff better than my techs.
Right.
And I was like, how much do you pay? And he told me the number. I'm like, yeah, you got to match what I'm making now.
Right.
And took him a year to do that, but he did.
Finally figured out he needed you.
Yep. And then I worked there for 2 years and had a dispute over expansion. So he had an opportunity to open a store across from the street,
Uh-huh.
across the street from the University of Miami.
Right.
He had an opportunity to do a mobile repair business because we had so many customers who
Mhm.
wanted us to come to their businesses to
Right.
do work because he didn't want to do that. And he and I were arguing about it someday. And I said, you know what? I'll go do that.
Oh, there
And
you go.
he looked at me and said, you won't survive 1 month. And so 2 weeks later, I handed him my resignation. That was in August of 1997. Still here.
That's a long month.
Yeah. And that's it. You're right. It's just something, nothing prepared me school-wise for what I'm doing now.
No.
And all the business stuff, even though I did get the business administration degree, most of what I learned from running a business came from junior achievement.
There you go.
So very interesting.
Yeah, that's a good story. And you never know where you're going to fall. Stuff's going to happen, and here we are.
Here we are. So speaking of here we are, let me go back because you didn't ask why I dubbed you Mr. Satellite Beach.
No, I did not.
Do you have any idea how that could have been?
Not really. No. I just want to hear it from you. Maybe I don't want to. Just go ahead. So you tell us.
So outside of one incident that happened at Surfside that I won't really get into too much,
Okay.
all I heard about in 6th grade was I was at Holland,
Right.
You were at Surfside,
I remember that.
and as we were getting ready to head into Delora,
Yes.
it was pretty much told to me that you're not going to be anybody once Nino Frederico gets on the scene. Nino was going to be Mr. Everything.
Okay.
And he's going to beach. He's faster than you in track. He's better than you at basketball. And I'm like,
I'm not sure if either of those were actually true.
I'm like,
but,
who is this guy, Mr. Satellite Beach? So,
I heard you talking about that with Chris,
yeah.
about how there was, talk going back and forth between the folks, the smart kids at Surfside versus the smart kids at Holland. And I can appreciate those folks, bragging about me a little bit. Thank them very much for that. But I remember whenever that exchange was happening, and I remember seeing the presidential physical fitness thing that we always had to do.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, I remember them. They showed us the scores from Holland, and I was comparing them. And I remember this name, Marvin B. He's at the top of all these lists. He's the first guy in the 600. He's the first, and our scores were close. I remember yours being better than me in a few, and mine might have been better in a couple other things. I don't remember. But I was like, okay, this guy's pretty good at stuff, whatever all those things were.
Yeah. I don't even remember half of them.
50-yard dash and the 600 and the pull-ups and sit-ups,
yeah.
and shuttle run and whatever all that other stuff was. So I remember that. And then, when we got to junior high, I don't remember there being any kind of a rivalry at all, between you and me. We just started playing basketball together. It might have been the first time we met. I don't remember. I don't remember any of that. But
yeah, I remember us, but I remember Coach Benfield loved you.
Well, it depends on which one you ask.
So I remember that Coach Benfield.
I remember by the time I got into I was in basketball in the 9th grade. I think I got yelled at more than anybody on that team. But
because you shot more than anybody else on the team.
Maybe that could be. That could be. But yeah, I remember he always had something to say to me. Usually wasn't positive. So yeah, we did pretty well though.
Yeah, we did.
For a bunch of kids from a beach school.
Yeah.
We did pretty well in basketball. I guess that Central team was pretty good. So we had a tough time with them, but otherwise, I thought we did pretty well.
We did.
We had, and I remember when Mike Otwell showed up, and he helped the team a lot.
Yeah.
Uh, uh, I'm trying to remember some of the folks. David Kelly was on that team. Darren Dawson was on that team.
Yeah.
I remember, Jeff Beck. He played basketball with us.
Yeah, I should have pulled up that picture because I remember showing it to the wife. Her name is Kim, by the
Yeah.
way. I remember
Okay.
her showing. I remember showing her pictures, and and I think it was the 8th grade picture. We're all the same height,
I'm still the same height.
and I'm still the same height. And then by the time I get to satellite, of course, guys are shooting up, and they're bigger, broader, and everything, and
Not me.
I'm the same.
No,
So yeah, all those guys. And
no, I didn't. I remember in the 7th grade when we both made the team, and I was a backup, of course, on that team. But
wasn't I? Wasn't I a backup?
Oh yeah, well, all
yeah,
of
I
us.
think we both were. Yeah.
Well, you remember the way that worked was there was a first and third quarter,
First and
team,
third, second and fourth,
second and fourth quarter team.
Yep, and then us,
and then the backups for each of those teams. So I remember being a forward/guard, and that season. But by the time I got to be the 9th grade, because I didn't grow any taller, I was a point guard.
Yeah,
doing in and out with Dave Kelly. So it, like I said, I was a tall guy in the 6th grade, but in the 9th grade, I wasn't a tall guy anymore. And by the time the end of high school finished, here I am, 5'8.5" and 150 pounds, and I was the same weight in 9th grade. I didn't change at all.
Yeah. So speaking of, I need to have somebody else verify this because my wife doesn't believe me.
Okay.
Do you remember senior year at Satellite?
Okay.
We got benched, and I quit. I quit the team.
Basketball team?
Yes.
I don't remember that.
Okay.
I probably got benched a bunch of times, so I'm not going to remember that necessarily.
Well, we got benched because even though we were seniors,
right,
we had these sophomore guys that were coming in. We had a couple of 6'4" guys, some shooting guard that was supposed to be really good. And
Lee J. Hart was the big kid.
Okay.
Who, 6'4", and couldn't jump and touch the rim barely, but
he was 6'4".
He was a good player. I mean, he was a good player. He was solid in there.
Yeah.
And then Todd Weatherell was the other kid.
Todd, yeah, I remember.
He was the guard kid. He was a good player.
Yeah.
But for what it's worth, I don't remember you actually quitting the team. That's interesting.
I need to find Goose remembers. Goose knows.
Does he? Oh, Goose.
He knows.
He remembers everything. That guy's so smart.
Yep. So she's like, yeah, she didn't believe me. And I found the yearbook finally and showed her, that, look, I'm not in the picture. And she's like, oh, well, then you didn't make the team at all. I'm like, I made the team, but I quit 4 games in. And she's like, whatever. So,
I don't remember you not being on the team.
Yeah, I did. I left because we got benched, and I asked the coach, and he's like, well, I want to develop these younger guys. We're not going to win. I said, well, if we're not going to win, let me play.
Right. That's a good point.
If we were winning, it'd be different. But we weren't winning either way. I'm like, I didn't play all through school to get to senior year to sit the bench.
I can't disagree with you. However, I can't disagree with playing the young guys and trying to develop a team that's going to win someday.
Well, listen, now that we're older and wiser.
Of course, yeah.
Say that. Mm-hmm. As a senior, I'm like, let me play.
Yeah. I played, most of the time, but I liked playing basketball a lot. And sometimes I think that I probably should have just given it up as a senior and concentrated on something else, because my body, I just wasn't tall enough. I mean, you can't play. There's only 5 people that that have been great at basketball, who weren't very tall.
Right.
So it's like it's like a girl doing gymnastics who's 6'2". You're not going anywhere in gymnastics if you're tall.
Mm.
So I maybe I should have thought about, maybe I should do something else, or because I played baseball too, and if I would have, the seasons overlapped a little bit.
Yep, they did.
If I concentrated a little bit more on baseball, maybe at the same time, I was more interested in going out and goofing off than I was necessarily working on being better at basketball or baseball or whatever. So probably wouldn't have mattered anyway.
Yeah,
but you think about it a little bit. Yeah. You think about it.
So I thought about it. I thought about it 3 years later in college when, I kept playing. Even though I quit basketball, I ran track, and I wasn't really good enough at track either. I think I made it to regionals.
Right.
Actually, I need to talk to Keenan Goldsby.
Right.
Because I think he and I both went to regionals.
Uh-huh.
And in the 220, and this is what I remember. I remember we were in the same heat.
Uh-huh.
And we finished tied for last in our heat. But I was we made it to regionals.
You made it.
So now I got to confirm that was him, or maybe I'm just misremembering something.
That could be.
But in college, I played with the intramural squads.
Yeah.
And we would play all the time. And the basketball team would come out and play with us. And those guys kept bugging me to come and play with them. And I'm like, no, but they were an NAIA school.
Sure.
So I should have. And I remember Coach Skellett, he was coaching, I think it was FIU?
FIT.
FIT.
He was an assistant coach at FIT, yeah.
Okay, well, he came and they played our school.
Uh-huh.
And I went up after the game and said hello to him. And he's like, B, he goes, why aren't you playing for these guys? And I'm like, dude, you benched me. Wow.
That's funny.
It is.
Wow. I got a story to tell you about Skellett.
Uh-huh.
Now, I don't know if you know this, but within the last year or two, he passed away.
No, I did not.
Yes. Yeah. Well, that's one of the things about Facebook. You learn about stuff that you probably would never have learned. So that's, from that point of view, it's a good thing. But as I said earlier, I live in Orlando. I know a lot of people here. So my wife and I, we go to New Jersey every other year because that's where her family lives for Thanksgiving. So we traveled up there this one year, and this was a number of years ago. And the first time we traveled up there, I ran into somebody I know in the airport in Newark. And she's like, you're not supposed to run into people in Newark. I'm supposed to. But I know lots of people. So the next time we went up there, 2 years later, we get on the train after the flight, and we're lugging all of our stuff. And there's this other woman that's on the train. And she says, I don't know, somehow she says she came up here. She came from Melbourne. And I was like, oh, I'm from Satellite Beach. And she kind of puts her head down a little bit like this. She says, okay, what high school did you go to? I was from Satellite Beach. I went to Satellite High School. He's like, turns out this is Al Skellett's daughter.
Oh.
And I was like, you're Mr. Skellett, Coach Skellett's daughter? So I just started going on and on stories and stuff, talking to her. And I gave her my business card, and I never heard from him, which, why the heck he would even remember me? Who knows? But I thought that was kind of funny, And my wife, after we get off the thing, she's like, do you know people all over the freaking world? I was like, well, she came from the same place as us. So,
yeah.
But yeah, it was kind of a funny story about Coach Skellett that way I ran into his daughter, 20 years later in the airport someplace.
And she recognized you?
Absolutely not. She had no idea who I was.
Okay.
But it was.
That's what happens to me, because people recognize me and I don't know who they are. And Coach Coach Frank Gurton's daughter did that to me one time down
Oh,
there.
really?
Yeah.
That's funny.
We were down.
Well,
I have no idea what we were doing. I think I was in a bar someplace, and she's like, "Oh, you're Marvin B," and I'm like, "I don't know you."
I think it's one of the reasons why that might happen to you. Number one, because people just kind of knew who you were. You stood out a little bit because of your accomplishments. Smart guy, tremendous athlete. But I also think there's another factor. And you grew up in Satellite Beach. There weren't a whole heck of a lot of guys. There weren't a whole heck of a lot of African Americans in Satellite Beach. So the ones of you who did a lot of good stuff, obviously, are going to stand out.
Right.
And I think that's, I'm sure she recognized you mostly because of the fact that who you were, Marvin B. I mean, for God's sakes, that's an easy name to remember, easy face to remember. Heck, you don't look any different than you did then. So that's probably the reason. But, the other part helps a little bit.
Snyder and I talked about that. The fact that, remember, my dad, was in the Air Force.
Right.
And I should have been gone.
That's
after
right.
4 years. My dad went to Italy, but my parents divorced right before he left. And what's funny about that whole thing is my mom actually came to me and asked if I wanted to stay here in Satellite Beach, or she wanted to go back to Louisiana, which is where her family's from.
Uh-huh.
And I remember at that time, and it was at 7th grade, I said, I want to stay here. This is where my friends are.
Yeah.
And
well,
she stayed.
You're lucky that she gave you that option.
I am.
Wouldn't even give their kids that option if they had a better opportunity someplace else or didn't want to stay.
That's something I'll never be able to, fully thank her or repay her because, I mean, who knows what life would have been like if I'd have left.
That's right.
But that's probably part of the reason is that, a lot of us that were there were from the Air Force Base.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And so you came, you left, and, a new crop came. I was the one that stayed.
And you didn't leave. That's right. That's true. That's a huge factor too. I mean, you were there for all 3 of your high school years. I mean, it was always a little bit transient.
Yeah.
Because of that, because of the Air Force Base being right there. So sure. That's probably it.
Yeah.
But I don't know how often you make it back up there. I mean, for you,
not as often as I should.
Yeah.
And well, let me rephrase that. I actually do go up there a lot, but I just don't make the time to see people. Now, since I got back on Facebook, I've tried to be better at it. And I've, gone up there and stayed an extra night, and, played golf, the Janelle tournament. Timmy's doing his
you
tournament.
played that?
I did. I've done one of those.
Oh, cool.
I went up and played. There was a satellite tournament for the baseball team a couple years ago, and I went and played with Tracy and her husband. I want to say Tracy Bice, but that's not her married name.
Well, I know who you're talking about.
Yeah,
your maiden name, sure.
Yeah. So I've gone up and and I've tried to. The problem is I'm so busy with work that I'll usually go up like if it's Thanksgiving, I'll go up the night before. We have Thanksgiving, and then I leave the morning after.
Oh,
and what I need to do is, stay there the whole weekend, try to see more people. I do need to get up more, just on a regular weekend. I know that guys are hanging out all the time. They're, at those 2 places. I forget the names of the places, but they're always there. So I do need to do that more. But when I, 2013, I saw, Lenny and Mary and Minga and Tina Veltri and a whole bunch of people.
I get over there every once in a while.
Yeah.
I think you talked about Tracy. I think she's with Jeff Goldstein.
Yes.
Okay.
I think.
Yeah.
Check the Facebook.
Last time I saw them, I saw both of them. She was with Jeff. But anyway, yeah, I get over there once in a while. I know I was over there for Scott Resnick's birthday in February.
Okay.
I met Vince Zaccardi over there, and John Cordray and he lives here in Oviedo. So he's, 15 minutes away. And we get together once in a while. We actually play on the same softball team. Anyway, he and I went over there for Scott's birthday, and we went to out to eat, and then we did that axe throwing. I don't know if you ever seen people doing that.
I've seen a couple people do that. That's I guess a big new popular thing now.
Yeah. It was actually very fun. And I don't know why in the heck this happened, but I happen to be pretty good at it. So maybe that's why it was more fun for me.
There you go. Yeah.
So yeah, we had a lot of fun doing it. It was Vince and Scott and John and me and Scott Long too. And and then we went and hopped a couple of bars here and there. It was fun. We didn't really see anybody else that I remember. No, we didn't see anybody else that time. I think one other time we may have gone over there and ran into some people at Beef O'Brady's or something. But other than that, every once in a while I'll go over there. Sometimes I have to go over there because my kids play soccer over there.
Okay.
I don't usually get a chance to run into anybody because we're in and out with the game and stuff.
Right.
But so, if there's something going on over there, then I'll go. But don't get over there as close as I am. I ought to be over there a little more often. But
so you see that post that Lenny just put up there? Always his QB.
Yeah, well, there you go. Yeah, it was nice to hand the ball off to Lenny because, we were in the 9th grade on that team. He ran the ball pretty hard, so it was nice to hand it to him.
Remember that track squad? Remember when we had that track squad in the 440 relay?
Yeah.
And we finally beat Central in the 440 relay that year.
So the one I remember where we beat them was 7th grade.
7th grade.
I am not sure if Leonard was on that team.
No, so we must have beat them in 7th, and then they beat us in 8th.
Maybe.
And then we got back to beat them in 9th. Lenny says we killed it. That's all.
But I remember that the 7th grade one more because going into that race, we were doing really well. It was the county championship.
Right.
And our team was doing really well. We were winning. And Coach Benfield comes to us and says, okay, guys, all you have to do is finish and don't drop the baton.
Right.
And we win the county. So we're like, okay, we're going to still try to win, but we're going to be careful, I guess. So, we're running the race, and I remember being the anchor that year. I think Lenny took over the anchor by the time we were in 9th grade, but that year I was the anchor. And I want to say that you were the third.
I think, I was, because I handed off to you.
So you come around and you hand it to me, and I come out of there, and as I'm running out of there, I hear, and obviously our baton is in my hand, so I know we're good, and I hear a baton falling and hitting the ground. Then I come running out of there, and I notice that, what was that guy's name? The big guy that was really fast. That
Roger Dixon?
Roger Dixon. And I was like, where's Roger? He's not catching me or beating me. So they must have been the ones that dropped the baton. Sure enough, they were the ones that dropped it. We ended up winning the race. And I kept that baton because I said the coach, they came to collect it. I was like, I'm keeping this until we get our medals and stuff, because the whole deal was all we had to do was not let this thing touch the ground and we win.
Right.
Well, after we did the medals and stuff, they forgot all about collecting stuff.
Do you still have it?
No, I had it for probably 15 or 20 years afterwards. As long as my mom and dad were still in the same house and had all my stuff there, I had that thing, and it didn't touch the ground for 20 years.
Yeah.
But that thing's long gone now.
Yeah, so that's right. Yeah, so 7th. Yep, 7th grade.
That was also the year we all painted our pinky nails, our pinky fingernails pink. Do you remember that?
No.
I don't know why I remember it. The whole team did it. The whole team.
I'm sure we did.
I don't know why the hell we did it, but it was funny.
Wow.
Yeah, that was fun. It was good stuff.
We got a lot of good memories back there. So
yeah,
I remember that. I remember the 9th grade. I remember beating Central in 9th grade basketball.
we did. I don't remember them beating them. I remember beating them when. Oh,
yeah. Remember the last game of the season. Remember. Okay, so which year was it that the first time we played them, Coach made us hold the ball the entire first half?
I remember that. I think it was when we were.
Is that 8th grade or 9th grade?
We were 8th grade.
Okay.
Because we played them, and they kicked the crap out of us.
Yes.
First game.
Yep.
So the second game, he told us to hold the ball, and they ended up beating us like 6-2 because we held the ball the whole time.
Yes.
And it was, and because we didn't score first, they were just like, okay, well, we're just going to sit here and watch you. And so it was a close game. At least we didn't get our butts kicked, but it was 6-2 was the final score.
Yeah.
Or something like that. But we still ended up losing, but it was a lot closer. I think you're right. I think it was one of the times that we played them, knowing that they were going to have a really good team. I want to say it was the second game that we played them, and they beat us the first game pretty good, and then we came back and beat them in the second game. It was a close game.
It was a close game
at our court.
Yep.
But I do remember one of the players on because we're using the same locker room. The other team is in the locker room right there, and I remember one of their players going, "So hey, look at there celebrating like we beat them by a heck of a lot more than they beat us." The first game. I finally thought, well, he's probably right, but yeah, I do remember that, and I remember this is silly. I don't know how the hell I remember this, but it was like the first shot of the game. David Kelly threw up a prayer from somewhere on the court, and he banked it in. And I looked at the coach, and I shrugged my shoulders, and he shrugged his shoulders with a big smile on his face too. And I was like, I had a good feeling, and this was like the first shot of the game.
Yep.
Like I had a good feeling about this game for some reason, and we ended up winning the game. So I thought that was pretty funny.
The only thing I remember about that game is for some reason I went 11 for 11 from the free throw line.
Well, that's a lot of shots. That's a lot of free throws to take in a game. So
back then, yeah.
That's you must have had a 3-point play then.
Because I remember the coach coming in afterwards. Their coach. Oh, who's that? That was good free throw shooting. Because he couldn't talk.
Yeah, that guy ended up coaching at Mel High.
Oh, he did?
The next season, he ended up, or 2 seasons later, he was the head coach at Mel High after that. He was a pretty good coach, that guy. But yeah, you couldn't hear, I understand him talking. He was so hoarse.
Wow.
But that's funny. That's good stuff.
Yeah. All right. So you listed off everybody you hang out with. Of course, I haven't been able to have the same types of numbers, although I had a nice long chat with Mike Coe recently.
I heard when you would do the thing with Snyder. Yeah. That you talked about Mike. So I want to hear about this.
Yeah. So I had talked to him like 4 or 5 years ago.
Right.
Found out that he lived literally, 10 minutes down the street from me. And so we had talked about, we'll get together and do this. Right. Of course, never did.
Of course.
So after that show, I called him again. He picked up and we're right back at it. So we probably talked for 25, 30 minutes.
Awesome.
And so Mike, if you're watching, you're on here soon. So
I saw Mike was up here because I see Chris Kendall from time to time. He doesn't live far from here either. And Mike was here. When in the heck was it? It was in the fall sometime.
Okay.
And we met over here at the ale house or something and had a few drinks and told a few stories. Laughed quite a bit. So yeah, saw Mike. I see Mike once in a while. Not as much as you should, but
as much as I should, right?
Yeah, right.
Actually, there's a lot of people I should see. I found out. So Wendy Anderson lives down here.
Oh, really?
Brian Humphreys lives down here. Who else? There's like a whole I could, have a dinner party, with everybody down here.
Now, I think Brian lived up here for a while.
I think he's lived everywhere.
Yeah.
I think he goes where the action is in the bars and stuff.
Uh-huh.
So,
Oh, good for him.
Yeah.
But yeah, I know I actually hang around quite a bit with a number of guys from the class of '84.
Oh, okay.
Because when I came to UCF, I lived with Andy Knoll and Dave Becker. And so I still, hang around with those guys. Okie Lopresti, still see him from time to time. Tim Newman, see him once in a while. So Cletus will come over. Okie comes over to football games, UCF football games. So I see him as a result of that. So, yeah, I mean, seeing people. I see, who's it? Neil Monahan. He came to a game last year because he went to UCF too.
Okay.
So I'll see him from time to time because he'll come to a game. He lives up in Clemson.
Is Neil my friend on Facebook? I got to find out.
Oh, you can look him up. He's just, yeah. I'm friends with him on Facebook. I know. You can find him. He's pretty easy.
I'll find him. Yeah, I want to have him on because he and I. So the big fame for Neil and I is that we were in a play together.
Okay.
So Shenandoah.
When was that?
Oh my God, that was I think we were in 6th or 7th grade.
Okay.
And I think it was at the Brevard Community College. And the play was Shenandoah.
That's funny.
And I played the young Negro boy.
There you go.
I had 2 big scenes in that play. And Neil was a prominent member on the squad there. So
right, that's funny.
Yep.
Now the acting careers didn't go very well after that, I guess, huh?
No, not at all. Especially once the singing was over. So we actually sang in that.
Oh, did you? Okay.
Yes. Yeah.
Well, the voices kind of change for a lot of us.
They did. All right. Who else? Oh, John Wickman in the house. Hello, John.
Yeah, I've seen John a couple of times over. Whenever he was working at Doubles, I'd see him.
Okay.
I guess he doesn't work for them anymore, but good to see John chiming in. Probably knowing that guy since 1st grade, maybe even kindergarten. I don't know if he was at Surfside, if he was in Surfside for kindergarten.
Wow. Now, were you born in Satellite Beach?
Oh, no.
No.
I moved to Satellite Beach in October, or no, the first part of November during kindergarten.
Really? Okay.
So, yeah. So I was born in New Jersey, and then, but I turned 6 in Satellite Beach. My parents, my dad was a pharmacist, owned his own store in New Jersey, and he and my mother came down to Florida for some pharmacy convention or something. They were like, man, this is really nice here. So they just decided we're going to move to New Jersey. My dad found a job working for Eckerd Drugs at the time, and they moved down, and we came with them. And we've been here ever since.
Wow.
They picked Satellite Beach because of the schools, which, made sense because Satellite High School actually was a pretty darn good school, I think.
Yeah.
So we've always been, we lived, and then, they lived there until all 3 of us, my brother and sister and I, all graduated from Satellite, and then they decided to move over to Hernando Beach or someplace on the west coast of Florida.
Really? Hernando. Okay.
They moved a couple of places since. Unfortunately, they're no longer with us, but and I just see Wendy Morrison just chimed in and said she remembers because she worked for my dad. She worked in the pharmacy there with my dad, and the last time I remember talking to him about it, which must have been years ago. He remembers her, so
Nice.
so he did remember her at the time.
All right. I'll have to ask Wendy about that.
Yeah, but yeah,
Talk about
she was a drug clerk. I think that's what they called him. I mean, Wendy, you could chime in and verify that for me. But yeah, he worked for Eckerd's for 25 years, if I remember correctly. And so that's why we were in Satellite Beach.
All right.
Because they decided to move down.
All right. And then your family, you guys own the Cumberland Farms, right? On South Patrick?
My mother did not own the store. She was just the manager.
I've been telling everybody, the Fredericos own that.
Oh yeah, everybody said that because she ran it like she owned it. Even if, but yeah. So we all got a chance to work there too, and that was kind of a fun business to be in a little bit, to work in that place. But yeah, she was just a manager.
Okay. And Wendy, I think she's correcting you, saying that she actually worked.
Oh, she worked at Publix. Oh, that's funny. I thought she worked in Eckerd's when he did. Maybe there was somebody else that was somebody else that worked. I do remember Wendy working at Publix though.
Okay.
Now that she mentions it.
All right. Yeah, a lot of so who was it? Lori, I don't know how to say her last name. Kobold.
Yeah.
Worked with my mom, and I never knew.
Oh, that's funny. Did she know she was working with your mom?
I think she did. Because they talked. I mean, because my mom, I would go home and my mom would say, Lori says such and such. And I'm like, who's Lori?
That's funny.
So actually, my mom knew a lot of people that come to find out.
Yeah.
So.
It's funny how you run into people that know people, like that sometimes. I can't think of any good stories about that right now, but
yeah. All right. So what else is going on? Oh, so hey, have you been watching The Last Dance?
I have. I watched the last one, episode 6. I finished watching it last night because I fell asleep on Sunday night while I was watching it, and didn't get a chance to finish it. But I watched it last night. It's very good.
Yeah,
really, they've done a really good job with that thing. It's really interesting too.
I was diehard Bulls during that time,
right?
And interesting to hear stories now.
Yeah,
and hear perspectives on. It's funny because all the talk show hosts are reacting to Michael. And Jim Rome says they should have just titled this series "Guys That Michael Hated."
Yeah.
But
yeah, that's pretty. Yeah, I wasn't a Bulls fan. Obviously, I had a lot of respect for Michael Jordan. What a fantastic player he was. Because right around that time that they became big, the Magic just started their first season. 1989, I think, was their first season.
Yep.
So I lived here in Orlando. So I, of course, said, I don't care what team I was. I was a Philadelphia 76ers fan before that. I said, well, the heck with them. I'm going to start rooting for my home team. So I was a Magic fan. I still am. Not that there's a whole lot to be a fan of these days, but, I'll watch a game or two. And saw Michael Jordan play plenty of times at the Orlando Arena. I actually saw him play one time at the Staples Center in L.A. My brother and I went out there for Thanksgiving one year. We ended up going to a basketball game.
Oh. And
it was Michael Jordan and the Bulls and the Lakers.
Wow. I never saw him play.
Oh, that's a shame. You missed it.
It is. And it's funny because when Kim, she had come down and it was his last year and she wanted to give me a birthday present and buy me tickets to see him play.
Right.
And the tickets were something like $160
right
a piece. And I was like, no, we're not paying that much money to see Mike.
To go, was it in Miami?
Yeah, in Miami.
Okay.
And now looking back, I'm like,
I wish I would have done
I should have paid $360. He was. I mean, it was funny because, like you said, I never had a hometown team. So because my dad was in
Right.
the Air Force, my formative years, I was over in Berlin, Germany.
Right.
So when I came back, it was whoever was on TV, the Dallas Cowboys.
Yeah.
I did like the 76ers.
Mhm.
And then when I got older, I started liking people because I'm like, you know what? I can't pick a team just because. So Michael and I liked Bobby Bowden at FSU.
Right.
That's how I started liking them. And, Aaron Rodgers. I mean, I just pick people now and not teams.
Well, there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, that way you don't have to worry about whether your team wins or loses.
Well,
a lot of
that had to do with fantasy football too.
Oh, well, fantasy football kind of skews things a little bit. I love to do it. I've been doing it for 35 years.
You're still doing it. I had to quit.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I had to quit.
I'm actually contemplating whether to join a second league, which I've done a couple of times, been in 2 leagues at the same time, but I don't know if I'm going to do it. But
I did that once. I did that once, 2 teams. It was a mess.
It can't be.
I mean, especially if you have the same player.
Yeah.
In 2 different leagues.
Well, that makes it easier. Then you just you can root for the same guy. Yeah,
but that's one guy. But then you have guys in leagues playing against each other.
Yes.
And then you're like, how do you root for one in one league and not in another? And so, but
yeah. I was in 2 leagues for a number of years. I've been in the same league since 1989. And then every once in a while, another league will come and go for a few years. So, and I remember, I think one year, there was a couple of years, I had a work league. I had 3 teams. And it gets a little confusing.
Yeah.
But, and even then, back then, we didn't have the computer to do all the work. We actually looked it up in the paper and wrote down all we had to get the newspaper and look it up and figure out, how everybody did.
You mean you didn't buy the big fantasy football book that came out in the summer?
Oh, sure. You buy the magazine beforehand you buy a magazine and try to figure it out. You don't have to even do that. You just go online and just get a cheat sheet, and to pick your team. But
I didn't do it until Yahoo allowed the free leagues. So that's when I joined.
Oh, yeah. Well, I remember having to pay a couple of times too. I never liked that, but
we paid. So I joined the league with one of my clients, of all things.
Okay.
So and my clients are attorneys. So I'm playing with lawyers, and the pot to get in was pretty high sometimes.
I'm sure.
I mean, with $300 to $500 to pay to get in.
Yeah, the ones I'm in are $40-$50. It's not a lot of money. It's just a bunch of people that I know. I think I enjoy the draft as much, if not more, than I enjoy the whole season.
Do you do the live drafts where you're all?
We always get together and do a draft.
Yeah, that's what we did.
And when somebody's doing it online or on the phone or something like that, I hate that.
Yeah,
because it's just awkward. I'd rather everybody be in the same room. We drink a few beers, we eat some chicken wings and some pizza or something, and hang out together and give each other a hard time.
You can razz each other on your picks. Oh, you took him too early. What's wrong with you?
Oh my God. We had a rule that if you draft a guy that's already been drafted because you weren't paying attention, you had to do a shot, or you had to drink a beer, you had to finish your beer or something. You had to drink because so we actually had rules about because people weren't paying attention, and then all of a sudden they draft a guy that, or they forgot to mark him down.
Right.
And here's Emmitt Smith lasts until the 4th round. What? He's not going to last until the 4th round ever. So if you picked the drafted a guy, you had to drink.
Yeah, we didn't have stuff that bad, but it was bad though. There were things that were just annoying, and so in our leagues, if you finished last, you were the one that had to bring the food.
Oh, there you go. That's a good one
for the next year. Which stunk because you lost all your money when you're paying,
right. You lost your money and then you had to pay for the food.
You had to pay for the food. So yeah, I had to quit. It got too much, especially with the computers.
Yeah.
In being able to add and drop players and try to keep track of the waiver wire and the injury report. And I was just too busy that, it used to be you could wake up Sunday morning and get everything you needed to know. And as long as you had your lineup set before 1 o'clock, you were good. Well, I'd get up on Sunday mornings and I'd see like half the stuff I wanted to do, people had already done last Wednesday or.
Sure, yeah, because they're paying attention all week.
They're paying attention. So then I found myself getting up every morning to get on the computer to check fantasy football. And then I would be like, oh, I got to get to work. And I'm like, no, I got to wait to see what this report is. So I just said, I can't do that anymore. That's just, I was spending 10 hours a week on fantasy football. And then, of course, all day Sunday.
I watched football just to watch the ticker.
Yeah.
To see what my fantasy players did. I didn't care about the game that was on.
Well, then you have Red Zone. That's why they came out with NFL Red Zone.
I know. And I need to watch the Red Zone instead of watching the regular TV.
Yep.
But what you're talking about, where people are paying a closer attention than you, I did fantasy baseball, and I'm telling you, guys get hurt. They play every day. Guys get hurt, and you don't know about it for 3 or 4 days, unless you're watching the box scores every game of every team that you have a player from. And I was like, you know what? If these guys are that dedicated, then they can have fun by themselves. I'm not playing this anymore because I'm just not that dedicated enough, to keep up with it that much. Heck with it. I got out of it because of that. But fantasy sports are kind of fun. It gives you a reason to root for guys that you wouldn't root for before.
Right.
And now sometimes I draft people that went to UCF. I got that to look forward to sometimes.
It's not a bad deal. You had some good players in recent years. So
yeah, so they're fun. Some of them are good. And some of them don't do anything. So the heck.
All right, my friend. Well, we've gone over an hour, and I
can't believe it. It doesn't feel like an hour at all.
Well, what's funny is as I'm starting to do this, I realize that there's not enough time to do all the catching up that needs to be done.
No.
So it's going to have to be something where I think as this evolves for me.
Yeah.
I'm going to have times where there's multiple people on. I'm going to have people on multiple times,
Sure.
And this is just going to have to be a regular thing.
And maybe, and I when we first talked about this, I didn't want us to do any preparation because I wanted it to sound spontaneous, and I think it was. But it maybe as a limiting factor, you kind of have a topic that you're going to stick to a little bit, so that you're okay. Well, we're just going to talk about this time instead of we went off on fantasy football for 10 minutes,
okay.
Or something like that. I mean, you're going to go off on tangents either way, but if you have something that you try to go back to each time, then yeah. If you're going to have people on multiple times, I think you might have to do that.
Well, yeah. Once we get around to that, it'll be more structured and stuff. But a lot of, again, this is a big experiment. So I've done a tech podcast. This is year number 5.
Yeah.
And that thing is, so, structured, bing, 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 bing.
Right.
And we don't go off on tangents. Well, let me rephrase that. We do. But
right.
I got to reel it back in really quick.
Sure. Yeah. Because you got a topic you're supposed to stick to.
It's a vendor that's on, and then, it's like they got to get their agenda,
Sure.
So this is much more fun, much more relaxed. I do want to, try to do a couple of things. I do want to, I want to talk about, like local events, what's happening. Somebody's got, there was somebody, I forgot. There was somebody that had there was something going on. And this is where I've got to figure out how to mark things in Facebook. Somebody was having a rough time that I wanted to mention and say, you know what, hey, let's all think about this person, and things like that, where we can band together as a community and help each other out. And if somebody's got an event that needs supporting, we all pitch in and support. If there's something,
Sure.
if you're going into Satellite Beach and I happen to be there the same weekend, hey, let's figure out a time to
Let's
hook
get
up
together. Yeah.
So we'll see how it goes. It's basically an experiment right now, and seeing, first of all, who will talk to me. And I'll find out quickly, who I pissed off or didn't.
Right.
Somebody's
Wow, I
been
didn't realize that.
35 years. Somebody's been mad at me.
Yeah. Who's your Isaiah Thomas?
I think after Chris's show, you might know who that is. So, and he probably doesn't know it. So, unlike
We'll
Mike,
see.
yeah, we'll see. Again, thank you for doing this.
One thing I want to say though before we quit.
Okay.
Those of you guys who are watching, I always try to make it to the reunions. If you can't, this year's was canceled, unfortunately. I think it was the right decision. It was a tough decision on those folks, but they had to do it, unfortunately. So we'll do it next year, and try to get there if you can. We always have a good time. I helped Tina out a little bit with decision making as far as what we're going to do, and we always have fun. And it's always great to see everybody. I want to see more people. I want to see just see what these people are up to. I think it's fun. So if you can next year, come on out. We'd love to see you.
Definitely. That's funny because I remember the first reunion we had, the 5-year reunion. I was down here in Fort Lauderdale, and I didn't make it back first night. And I don't know why I didn't think to go. And I remember getting a call. And there was a group of people on the phone, Christy Abernowski and a whole bunch of people. Marvin, you need to get your ass back here. So I didn't make it the next day. It was a picnic out at, what was that park? Phipps Park or something like that. The one on the big one on the beach, like in between Satellite and Indian Harbor, right in that area on A1A.
Okay.
I don't remember.
Okay. I don't remember the name of that, which one it is, but
yeah, but I made it to that, and then I've made it back.
There was a.
But yeah, try to make it back definitely for next year. But I take it, we got a big delay happening here.
Go ahead.
Okay. But yeah, definitely make it back next year. I'm going to be there. I don't care when it is. But I do want to make sure that people don't, forget that, we can hang out anytime. I want to do something here to get everybody back in the groove and get us all prepared to hang out and see each other in the flesh next year, whenever that is.
Yeah. I'm planning on being there. So.
All right.
Hopefully. Folks.
Yep, I think it'll be good. All right, so Mr. Satellite Beach.
Yeah.
I think that'll do it for this time. I'm going to reach out to you probably in a few months to get you back on. And
anytime is fun.
We'll get some more satellite people on here. I'll have. Yep. All right. So those of you watching and listening, thank you all for tuning in. And I'm sorry, Nino, what did you say?
I said it's good to hear from everybody chiming in.
Yes, it is.
With the chat boards.
Yep. So be watching again. Go to unclemarv.com. You'll see who's coming up that you can tune in and listen to. And the times that are on there, they're not the same set time every week, but we'll try to make something happen at least once a week. And it'll be my people from Satellite, my people from Palm Beach, my people from Junior Achievement, anybody who will talk to me, and hopefully we'll share some good stories and hear some life lessons and share good times with good people. So That's going to do it. Nino, again, thank you very much for doing this.
Loved it. It's fun.
All right. And that's going to do
Can't
it,
wait for
folks.
the next one.
Yep. So we'll be here back again soon on the Uncle Marv podcast.
Bye, everyone.
Later.